On this special day coinciding with Jnanavardhini, we have invited two distinguished women leaders in privacy to speak to us about their journey so far and the way forward. Ms. Aparna Pathak, Global Data Privacy Specialist in TCS, and Vasantika Srinath, Vice President Concentrix. A very warm welcome to you. We had the opportunity to interact with Aparna earlier this year in a very engaging session about the current technology sessions available to protect privacy in organizations. She is Global Data Privacy Specialist in TCS, Global Privacy Office, and is working on compliance with numerous privacy laws worldwide. She is certified with CIPP, CIPM, and accredited with FIP. She is now chair for IAPP KnowledgeNet Bangalore chapter. Aparna strongly believes in embracing privacy culture and building trust among the stakeholders as the default future for all the organization. Her mantra is dream it, dare it, and do it. Welcome, Aparna. Vasantika Srinath is an attorney. After 8 years of practice in Mumbai and Bangalore, she moved to now setting up and leading legal and compliance functions at various companies, predominantly in the IT space. She's currently Vice President, Regulatory and Contract Compliance at Concentrix Corporation, where she's responsible for regulatory and policy compliance, contract compliance, and compliance assurance globally. She's also a privacy professional, a fellow of IAPP. She was recognized as a top 100 powerful women in law. She's a regular speaker at various legal events and seminars. Welcome, Vasantika. Aparna and Vasantika will be in conversation with Sanyogita. Sanyogita herself is a leader in privacy, earlier with Infosys and now with iTeleSecure, a vibrant member and solid contributor in FDPPI. Over to you, Sanyogita.
Thank you, Manju, for those introductions. And wishing everyone a very happy Women's Day. And definitely FDBPI and Navisa and everyone is very much supportive to women in privacy and always helping us nurture ourselves and grow in this particular field. It's my pleasure to have Vasantika and Aparna today. And this conversation will help us to know unique experiences and perspectives they have had in the field of privacy. So I have a certain set of questions that for both of them. So I will probably start with Vasantika and Aparna both. So I'll start with Vasantika. Vasantika, I just wanted to know what sparked your interest in data privacy and how you got started in this particular field. We want all the women and others to know that, how you can start your careers in privacy and, let's know about your journey here.
Yeah, mine was my journey was actually a little not by design, in the sense that I had just set up the compliance function at Concentrix, and GDPR was around the corner. So it is a regulation, right? Privacy regulation. And until then, honestly, privacy was something that our information security team used to take care of. It was more like a check in the box, very, very honest. But that's what it was. It was a check in the box. And when we went through GDPR, we realized InfoSec cannot lead it any longer because it cannot be a check in the box activity. And obviously they're conflicted. So now it's obvious that they're conflicted. But that time it took us a long time to figure out that no, InfoSec cannot lead it any longer. So we need a neutral and independent function. So we went around all over the organization, and it came to me, and it appeared that I have to be the person who had to lead it. So I honestly had no clue what it entailed. I used to look at what InfoSec was doing, and I had no clue. I could not make out. So me and the InfoSec leader got ourselves, we went for some GDPR training. And I still remember those 4 days. I was so worried because I just could not understand what he was talking about, the trainer. And most of these things were like Googlies or maybe bouncers. Yeah, it was actually bouncers, not even Googlies. They were all bouncers. And then we came back and I was still trying to understand things, and we had to then go and start implementing, right? So then when we started doing our DPIAs and the gap analysis, and then we said, we have this many countries to cover, this many functions to cover, and we split the work among all of us. And I picked something And I had no choice but to go sit in front of the business and start working on it. And that's when, one by one, everything that I learned in the classroom started coming back to me, and the relevance became apparent as to why we are doing what we are doing and why we studied what we did. And it was more like, I think trial by fire and directly pushed into the deep end of the ocean. But there, within my, that is how my career in data privacy was, got started. And then it has been a very interesting journey. And then, we grew and more countries got into the fray. And now Concentrix is in over 50 countries, and every new country or any new business that we are growing in. For example, we may just be adding some seats. The first thing people do as part of any seat addition is send a note to my team. Data privacy looks at, what business it is, where it will be, and whether any privacy implication happens. Yes, no. No means they're free to go. If yes, then we look at it and then also ensure that privacy considerations are, part of all of that expansions. So it's grown a long way. We've come really far in that, but that's how my journey began and where we are today.
Great. So, Aparna, how about you? Tell us about your part.
I can echo so many things with Vasantika, but I had a different story here. I was in US. I think that time the GDPR news was there, but I did not know what these letters mean. So I was coming back and I had to sell my car because I was shifting my base. So I put it on public website, and somebody said, sent me an email saying, I'm ready to buy your car, whatever price you have quoted, I will send you a check. I said, do you not want to see the car? No, it's fine. I checked the VIN number and so, everything is fine. I was so happy and elated. I got the check also. And then I was happy. So things work so nice in US. So I posted few more ads. Same thing. Nobody wants to come and see the items and just send a check. I was happy and I have deposited the check. And then somewhere my antennas were ticking, saying something is wrong. So I asked my colleagues, saying, this is what is happening. So it's a fraud. It's a fraud that people are sending you details, and this check is going to bounce after 1 week. And that is how I was shocked. And those 3 days of my life were like, how can people do such kind of things? The names were so familiar. The voice was so kind of Indianized voice. And when I came back, I was like, somewhere the cyber security threat is real. And I was kind of victim, and I got saved by probably, just my antennas, I would say. So that's when I started just reading about GDPR, saying what is it and how it is and all, whether I'll be interested. But I think I liked the mysteries of data privacy and trying to solve those mysteries for the organization. So I started reading. I started participating in conversation as a silent participant, just to understand what people are talking about, because it was completely new. And I used to work here in the organization, and I was seeing the organization from here now, seeing where all the data is, how things are moving, who is having it and all. And that is how I started asking questions, more questions than I am getting answers. And today also, we have more questions than the answers. So that is how I started, then getting into the groove, understanding the nitty-gritties of the laws, reading a lot, then taking up the certification also. That helps me understand what this entire thing means. Because in US also the laws were not so stringent, but then connecting the dots, how it works in an organization, how the regulators will look at it. And whatever Vasantika has told, that her journey is kind of then same for me also. Becoming odd of what things are, what data is, and then seeing why people are doing this. This is such a common sense. And that's how they started the journey. And I think over a period of time, it has been fantastic journey, because people started appreciating what we are doing. Earlier, as Vasantika said, it's our tick in a box. But then it becomes, it is not tick in a box. It is much more than that, because you have to demonstrate compliance even for that small link. So I think a lot of appreciation has happened among the people and even the global companies, where they realize that it is the thing now and it is going to continue. And I think that's how I started my journey around Zen GitHub.
Great to know that how you guys have come into this particular industry, privacy part of it. Nice. So, Apna would like to now know what were your biggest challenges that you must have faced during this privacy journey, and how you overcame them? How did you overcome them?
Mhm. I think the biggest challenge, and it is still the biggest challenge, is awareness among the people that it is a law and it needs to be complying from people, making them understand what things are and how they should do the things is the biggest challenge. Because and being in India, I think we are very much open to share the data. And global companies, while the Europe companies and all, they do understand what the data protection is, helping everybody understand and talk the same language, I think that has been the biggest challenge that I would say. But what also helps is having the leadership confidence in you, and also being there to provide a direction and bringing the strategy together. I think that has helped us to ensure that everybody aligns to what is required and required for the organization. It is also not one team's job. And I think that understanding took a little longer time, wherein it is not one team's job, it is not one person's job, but every nook and corner of the organization has to understand what is privacy and take the controls in their own way, in their own spaces. I think that journey has been the fantastic journey, what I would say. And that challenge, it has overcome in step-by-step manner only. So having the buy-in from the leadership, having more conversations, giving confidence to the team that we are not stopping you, but we are enabling you. So that's what I would say, Sangeeta.
Yeah, that's
What are
a
your thoughts?
interesting point.
Vasantika, please add in your thoughts here.
Yeah. So, the biggest thing is building equity and confidence with the teams that we are business enablers and not here to put in a spanner in the works, to upset the work, so that we can be seen as partners. And that is always the key challenge. Typically, most of the legal and infosec kind of functions are looked at, that they will come, oh my God, they are going to, put in a hurdle. So building in that confidence with the business teams is the bigger the company, more the number of stakeholders, bigger is that challenge, bringing in everyone. So that is at a corporate level to ensure that everyone is able to, work together as a team. And there were so many functions, so many people who are, not even aware of what needs to be done. And suddenly you will see that someone has done something, despite, there being policies, processes, someone has still managed to, go ahead, and then you're busy cleaning and there is this fires because of that. But for me, at a personal level, I think the bigger challenges have been understanding some of the very technical aspects, which, I'm a pure lawyer. So a lot of these, and my husband comes from a very solid technical background, because of which I would say I'm better off than many others. But I still do, could do with more knowledge. So, there are some things that I still struggle to understand. And I force him to give me a lecture on, what certain things mean and how it will impact us. And that helps. But, so understanding some of the technical aspects and technologies is always, is one big uphill task for me.
Absolutely. That is
I would just want to add to Vasantika's point. While she's saying technology was her challenge, for me, understanding the legal language was a challenge. Sometimes their answers were cryptic, and I can't make out whether it's a yes or a no. So
I
that was my
would find
challenge.
that so straightforward in law, right? Because there are always so many options. You're right.
Right. So we have both of them one coming from law background, another coming from a strong technology background. So the panels are amazing. So we have lots in store for audience as to if they want to pursue both, coming from both fields, right? So we'll come to that. With the next coming up question for both of you is, can you tell us about a particular memorable project or an experience that you would had in the field of data privacy and what you had learned from it?
You want me to go
That's-
first? Okay. Yeah. So for me, it has to clearly be our GDPR compliance journey.
Vasantika, your voice is a little low, a little feeble.
Is
If
this
you can
better?
just,
Is this better? I'm a little louder now.
yeah, a little better.
Yeah. So for me, it has to be our GDPR compliance journey. That's where my journey began, but it was also very exciting in the sense that, we went, each of us, I traveled across sites to do a gap analysis, and that not just was a good experience, it was also a very insightful one because I got closer to our business. I began to understand our business processes in so much more detail that then I could, after some time, I knew what to expect. When I'm going to talk to next businesses, I know, that this is the pattern we follow. These are the challenges we have. So that was a very, very helpful, and it helped me not only as a privacy professional, it also helped me. I'm always wearing my compliance hat, right? So I'm all the time thinking of the various other laws that will impact us. And it helped me from all these perspectives to be sure that I got closer to business. So that was really, really nice for me. In addition to that, the other very interesting and exciting, though it was not the best of times, was our COVID. So we all had to move home, right? So it was a big challenge. We were, now we are almost 300,000 people. In the beginning of COVID, we were about 200,000. So, and we had to move everyone to work from home. So in India itself, within a span of 2 months, decided to take about 25,000 advisors to work from home. And that was happening in a global scale. The immediate issues that came with, we created, privacy notices, everything. But the thing was, we needed to see in most of your sites, we are in ITES. So security is a very, very important piece of what we do. So we have CCTVs, we have, in the site in brick and mortar, it's easy to run that. And then you have people who will come for floor walks. So if supposing there is a stable with all the advisors, there's a team leader right there who's watching people. And then there are the managers who are sitting right around there, and people are, all over the place. So to that extent, it's easier to keep an eye on people. When people started working from home, then we were not able to immediately do such things, right? We can't have people turning on their cameras all the time. Some people did try those things, but then we had to gradually introduce software for, some of it will entail biometric screening and, fraud protection and prevention and fraud management, and ensuring that all of those are in line with the respective data privacy laws for each country where we are implementing that was a real big project for us. So we were studying, so we had to start customizing it for each country. There are, limitations. Some countries you have to make, you have to go to Works Council. Some countries you have to go to the data protection authorities. Some countries you have to say that, this much is what you can do. You cannot force people to have cameras. So Europe had a limited version of what we do in many other countries. So we had to have a very customized, way for handling that. And that, I think, was a great experience for us all in managing. Aparna, for you?
Yeah, I think that's a wonderful thing. And I can echo those days where people will come in the night saying, we have to deploy something tomorrow morning. And can you help us with the privacy review? So it was tough time, but I think, thank God it has passed.
Yeah.
So from my perspective, I'll give a generic example, and I think it is applicable for all the domains also, but this was a real one. So when we go present anything, this is what we are expecting people to do. And I was presenting to 50 odd people, and everybody had that perception that now people are coming, asking us to do something, and this is not in line, everything is wrong, everything like that, So that mindset was already formed. And I started my presentation saying, this is what we want to do. This is how it will help. And one of the very senior leader stopped me and started asking more questions and probably giving more insights into what should be done or why it is not right and why that is not right. So now there is a perception of privacy that everybody has. And here is a very senior leader saying, no, this is how we should have done, or this is what I expect and all. So I had to subtly interrupt the person and say, I will have this covered in my next slides and allow me to complete the presentation. So once that presentation was done, I was expecting more bricks coming towards me. But then it so happened that the leader did not have any questions. And all the questions that were there, why you are doing this, what is it for me, how are you going to support us, and how is it going to change the business model, everything was answered. And there was not a single question. I was silent for some time, saying people are going to ask me questions. So what the takeaway that I had from this is, I would call it an ABC. A is always anticipate your questions rather than people coming and saying surprise questions that people will ask. So anticipate questions and be prepared. And I think this is applicable not only for privacy but everybody else. Second, what helped me is B, which is bring the business perspective, because I was talking in their language and helping them understand if I were a HR person, if I were a finance person, how will I do it? So that way, people started relating to what is being spoken about. It's not somebody coming and giving yarn and going, but bringing the business perspective had really helped, and participants were able to get something saying, this is my language and how I am able to implement it. Third one was collaboration. So as Vasantika was saying, be a partner in their journey. Rather than saying, you do this, you do that, we are here together and we will take it forward. And this is the right way of doing it. So as people think privacy is a police, but it is not a police. It's an enabler for everybody to look at things. So having that business perspective is really very important. And that is where privacy becomes a partner. So that was my experience where I was able to turn the mindset of people saying, I'm there to help you. So Sangita, over to you.
Great, great. Amazing knowing those experiences from both of you as to how these challenges were taken care by you all, how you all flew through the journey. Great. So we had a lot of, so one question here I would like to make is how people, as you both are from diverse fields, like one is from law and other is from technology. So if women and others also want to pursue their careers in privacy, how can that come up? Like, how can that go hand in hand? So if somebody is from law and not having technological background, can they get into privacy? Is a major question that even I get asked sometimes. Can we get into privacy? So probably the other way around.
Certainly, I think being a lawyer helps you understand the perspective of the legal perspective. It's easier to learn, read these regulations and understand it. We are so used to reading that convoluted language, it's a part of what we do. So, and if it's simple English, we feel we'll look at all what is missing. So that is one very easy thing for a lawyer. But what is very important is the ability, no matter what we do, we have to, like Aparna said, not just, it's about being close to the business. You have to understand what the business needs are, and you have to understand, and that will also help us understand, therefore, where the privacy requirements come in. So as long as you're solution oriented and trying to work with the business to support the business and make it better, it doesn't matter what law we're trying to comply with, we can, understand that and figure it. There are some technical aspects, but I have found that most colleagues in most places are supportive. If you go and ask them the right questions, people will help you. So we have to do our homework. We have to study. So, you're here, you may want to get here when it comes to the technical side, but that's a little bit of effort. But there are, people who see that you're taking the effort and they're willing to, it takes two to clap. So they will come, they'll join you, and the journey becomes easier because of that. And I also, so that is, I think, how you can make your journey. And but if a lawyer would like to get into privacy, I would definitely encourage if you're a beginner, I would encourage them to maybe look at opportunities to intern in a privacy organization, or things like that, that give them that exposure and understanding of what it is, so they know whether and understand whether this is something that I can do and I will enjoy. And then you also, now we have a lot of courses. When we studied, privacy was not a thing, right? So we are all on the job learners. So now you have a lot of courses that also teach them in greater detail. So the lawyers of today have that advantage of also being able to study that and come with even more knowledge. So that is also a big advantage and help for them. So definitely there is space for lawyers to be
Right.
privacy professionals.
And I would call privacy professionals as matrimony people. They have to marry the technology and legal and ensure that it's a marriage forever. So having a technical background, I think, is a little important from a privacy by design perspective. Okay, so anybody who is in technology will have to upscale themselves or reskill themselves onto privacy, because it is going to stay here. So how you are going to implement privacy by design, what are the controls, and now the privacy engineering space is also coming in. So anybody who is today in a technology, they have to understand privacy. Like they have to understand security, they have to understand privacy. But you don't have to get into too much of legal things also, because that is where people get scared of saying, do I need to understand what law is telling me? No, if you follow the principles, I think you will be able to do that. And a lot of technological enhancements will happen. The future is all digital. So everybody has to understand. And not only from a development perspective or implementation perspective, but even as individuals, people have to understand what is privacy and what are their rights are there. So if somebody is wanting to start their career in the privacy from technology background, I think it's a very good initiative that you can take. You can start looking into the certifications, courses, and enhance yourself into the privacy by design space. I think that is one where everybody is going to question the digital space of how did you do it and how are you protecting the data. The next part comes from people who are in HR space, or they are into more of a business side, maybe a HR, admin, finance, and all. They also can get into privacy, because privacy is for everyone. And when you are in privacy, you can get a complete view of the entire business. You can work with one day with HR, another, you can work with retail, you can work with healthcare. Everything you can enhance, and you can work only in Java. No, you can apply learnings into cross domains. And that's where anybody who is currently in any space, they can jump onto privacy very easily, because your understanding of business, your domain will definitely help you to look at privacy as a specific domain and did that particular area. And given that there is a lot of AI that is being talked about today, once you have the understanding of technology, little bit of technology, you'll be able to ask right questions. And I think I agree with Vasantika saying having that little bit background of technology is an added plus. But you can always talk to people, understand, and people are there to help you. And it's a amazing field, a lot of challenges, and no two things will be common. Okay, every challenge is a unique, and that's where it's the strength of that domain.
Yes.
Absolutely. So much agree with both of you. And to enhance that knowledge, FDPPI has a couple of courses which probably people who want to enter into the industry can do that. All of those details are at fdppi.in.
Yeah, I think our Jnanavardinis are also very good. Whenever I can, I join. I wish I could join more frequently, but we have very fantastic subjects which are discussed. So that is also a very good place to learn a lot.
Yes, all the newcomers who want to get into the industry should join these kind. I so much agree with you, Asmita. They should attend these kind of sessions. Fantastic. It was a great knowing both of your journeys. With the new bill coming in, the Indian Digital Personal Data Protection Bill, and at the start of the session, Navi sir said we are getting some consultations done in New Delhi and now in Bangalore. We are hoping, we are keeping fingers crossed that it will be passing on 13th of March. Let's see. We'll wait for the good thing to come in. But yeah, so I have a question around it for you all. Let's touch upon it. How do you think the Indian personal data protection bill will impact the business landscape in India, particularly for smaller companies who are still on those unstructured platforms, are not that much on the structured platform as the global companies are, or probably the other MNCs are. So would like to know your thoughts on that.
Aparna, you want to go first or you want me to?
Yeah, I can go first, not a problem.
Sure.
So the first thing that they will have is a resistance to change, because we are so used to doing in certain way. Now somebody is asking, there is a law that is there, and now you have to change the business model to change. And definitely it's a habit. You have formed those habits, and changing the habit takes little time. So I think that is first one where a lot of businesses will really look at what they are doing so far, and is it aligned to the bill or not. The second challenge that the smaller organizations will also have is how do they manage consents, because there is a consent manager framework that is coming up. How are they going to manage consents? And specifically today, we see so many SMSs coming, so many calls coming and all. So those businesses, how are they going to manage consents, and respecting those consents will be one of the biggest challenges for the enterprises. And the third one, I think we touched upon it, is the competency. Today, privacy as a competency is also very limited. It's like where we were 10 years ago for security, that's where we are today for privacy. So people have to understand what the law is, convert into the operational and implementation guidance for them. And that, without that competency and awareness, I think that will be the third challenge that I would want to call out. Vasantika, over to you.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. I think you covered almost everything. The thing is, in India and most places, the biggest collector of PI are retailers. Fortunately, this regulation only talks of automated processing. So if it's a small kirana shop who is receiving, but the problem is the small kirana shops may not really be collecting PI, but many of them sell, they sell top-ups for your mobile phone. So things like that, and that is automated. So I don't know how, those kind of things will get regulated. And do they even have the ability to understand and implement any kind of safeguards? Or they may say, we are not collecting it. You have just, I've just helped you top it up. But then your phone will have, when they top up using their mobile phone. I don't own a prepaid one, but I have seen others going to shops, and the shopkeeper will pull out his mobile phone and do something, and then you will get an SMS saying that your phone has been topped up. So he's automatically got your personal data. He knows your name. He's got your number. So, they are collecting information, but how are they going to ensure, and how will, you can't even, and this law talks of deemed consent. But how are we going to ensure? So you are deemed to have given your consent for that. But how are you going to ensure that tomorrow, therefore, you're not going to end up with some kind of a SMS and things like that? And you go to most of these retail stores, irrespective of, all the big brands, they will ask for your phone number. Even if you say, no, I don't want an SMS, he will say, it's only for your invoice. You will get your invoice by SMS. We are not going to print out an invoice. So they'll force you to give that. And then they will say, I have done this personally in 2 of these big chains. I've said, I don't want you to send me SMSs later. So he showed me on his system that he has checked, do not, no SMS. And immediately from the next day, I still get those SMSs. So the purpose of collection does not matter. There is no sanctity for it. So, and this is with a big chain, okay? I'm not talking of a small shop. I'm talking of a very big chain. So, this being the Indian mindset, changing the mindset is going to be one big challenge. And smaller businesses are going to have even bigger issues, on how they will be able to even understand and recognize that they need to make these changes. So the threat of penalties may, make the bigger ones wake up, realize, and bring in changes. And then it will take a couple of years, I guess, to catch on. Then they will start fining people. There'll be a big uproar. There'll be a lot of court matters. Stuff will happen. And then gradually, I think, people will come by, and then there will be gradual acceptance and, implementation of these things. So, but it's going to be a long uphill journey.
And with those 22 odd languages also, where you have to ensure that everybody understands in their local language.
Yeah. So in every language, if you have to give a privacy notice, it's, yeah.
Yeah, that's true. That is going to be a difficult challenge, absolutely. So what advice do you give to these small organizations and probably individuals to prepare for this new bill? So any advice, thoughts on this particular part?
Read, get as much information as possible, understand it. So then if you read more, then it gives you ideas and help you understand, and seek, expert help. But like Aparna said, there are very few people who really understand what privacy means. A lot of lawyers will jump into the fray, but how many of them really understand the key issues? Unless, it's one thing to just look at the law and explain it. It's another to understand it with context. Reference to context is the challenge, right? So understanding what it means in the given context. So you need to find an expert who will really be able to help to ensure that they will not end up in a situation where they are penalized.
And for the startups and small companies, I would say that they have to start early. They have to start doing their data mapping, irrespective of whether it's India bill coming, not coming, and all, because everybody needs to know what they process and why they process. So the early they start this journey of doing a data mapping, I think they will at least have the visibility of what they hold and how long they keep it, and also it's like you're changing your mindset right from now rather than waiting for the bill. So I would tell everybody, start early and don't wait for when it comes that dekha jayega.
Right.
Very true. I think data mapping is very important, and also maybe so that's privacy by design. So they should understand and get into, the startups should implement privacy by design as a part of their journey. Otherwise, they would have come to a big point, and then suddenly you have to start going back and start questioning everything that you have done. May not be a great situation to be in. So privacy by design, I think, should become a part of any startup's journey.
I think it's your waking up habit. If you want to keep alarm, you don't wake up, then you will struggle to wake up. But if it is your habit, then you don't have to remember that I have to wake up early. So privacy by design should be a habit.
Right. Absolutely. Great. It was great knowing all of it. Just one last question to both of you. Any latest developments or probably any resources that you recommend for the newcomers to refer to? FDBPI and Navi.org is there, but any other than that?
Yeah, in addition, I would say attend the Jnanavardhinis. And then IAPP has a lot of very, very useful material. We use OneTrust, but some of it is free, some of it is paid. We use we subscribe to it as a company. We need that. And there is, for free resources, there's also Mondac, where you can get a lot of free subscriptions, and their articles are very helpful. And generally, people can look up on the net. There is a DLF Piper, and there are some more of these organizations that give a lot of free information. So those are very helpful.
So I'm a IAPP chapter chair, so I would say go for IAPP and look for all the webinars. Also, they do. There are a lot of free webinars that are available, which gives you more latest information. And as Vasantika said, law firms have a lot of websites But apart from that, if you are, say, in Singapore, look at the Singapore authorities website. In India, whenever the authority website comes, that will be looked at. But the authority websites also provide a lot of information, and you'll be able to take it. And obviously, all these law firms, IAPP and all will take from there. But if you directly go to the law authority website, you'll also understand some more advisories that they keep on putting. So that also is one area where you can look at.
Yeah, like the UK ICO is a very good resource. It's a treasure trove rather. And UK, and quite a few of these authorities. So if you're working in that field, you can actually call them. They are very helpful. So you can call, discuss with them, and proactively reach out and have consultations before you do it. ICO is one such. New Zealand is also very friendly. There are quite a few countries where we can talk to them, and we build that kind of a rapport with them. So before we need something, we can do that also. So that's another place where people can look for. But approaching the authority should be not just to ask very vague questions. You have to be very clear. You've done all your homework and you still have something that really needs their inputs, is when you would go to them.
Yeah, absolutely. And Canada also has lot of material for their PIPEDA and all.
Yeah,
so and in fact there will be a lot of public consultations also happen. So if you just read what they are proposing, you will understand where the market is going.
Great to know your insights and your experiences, both of you. So I'll open this to questions. If anybody has questions, can put it up in the chat box. And even would like Navi sir to add in here. Navi sir, you there?
Yeah. I'm there. Okay.
Yeah, Navi sir. Navi sir, you had been always supportive to women and women in privacy. So now, please, all your thoughts here.
I left the floor for all the women only, so I blocked my video. Okay. Couple of interesting things. One of the things which I would like to ask is now both Vasantika and Aparna spoke about different sources. Okay, particularly the ICO, the Canada Supervisory Authority, and other things. Normally, the other professionals won't have the time to go through these websites. Only some of us who have some specific need, we try to go and then search through that information. In fact, professionals like us should actually pick up that important information and then redistribute it to our professionals. That is what our FDPPI Telegram channel or everything is there. Normally what happens in these groups is that people will only listen. They will only absorb information given by others. They never contribute to the development of knowledge. I think all of us need to actually become teachers, okay, in whatever manner, okay. So in fact, sometimes in our Telegram group, I have tried to ask people questions just to initiate a debate. But as most of you are aware, people are very, very silent. I think that we need to change, because knowledge sharing, both within the company as well as in these professional groups, is essential if we want to build a culture of privacy across the country. In fact, the reason why I have started this DP-DPB dialogue is we want to have as many programs as possible with as many companies as possible. We are anyway offering it free. Nobody loses anything. They have to only spend some 1 hour of their time with their executives. And that is the only way you can actually spread the awareness. Because before the government starts penalizing, okay, which may be another year or so, even if the act is passed, they will most probably give the time for implementation, and then after the time of implementation, again there may be further time for imposing penalties. So there will be a time. But before that, as our friends were telling, we have to remember the days when they started this privacy 4 years back, when GDPR came, when in the whole company, however big the company was in terms of business, the knowledge about privacy was near zero only. So people did not know about what to do. So it takes time for people to actually absorb the principles. And fortunately, in the 4 years, a lot of things have happened. In fact, we have seen companies in 2018 to now. Now, definitely at every level in a company, people have a fairly good understanding of privacy. Sometimes, of course, some concepts may be, there may be differences of views, but that doesn't matter. People know that there is something to be done on this. Same way, when this new act comes, now there is a lot of things to be done within the company. Just take, for example, our DPB. It says all your legacy consents you will have to renew. Okay. Now, every company which is doing business is already having millions of data sets. They do not have the consent based on the new DPB. So it says that you have to actually renew the consent. Maybe the rules and notifications may give some time, maybe 3 months, maybe 6 months. But the first thing which will have to be done by these companies is to actually obtain renewal of consents for the existing data sets. So there is a lot of work, and every person in the organization needs to cooperate. It is not a job of only the DPO. The one person in DPO, he will not even know what is happening in so many units of the organization. And that is why we feel that an organizational level culture has to be developed, so that we try to find local leaders who will at least talk to the DPO and say, this is what I am trying to do. I don't know whether it is correct or wrong. Then the DPO can perhaps help. So probably you have to set up within your own organizations the second level of people. You can call them as the privacy champions or some such special name you can give. But there is a need for the DPOs to develop their own, you can say, informers across the organization to bring the issues to their, you can say, knowledge. Otherwise, it is going to be very difficult. And in fact, the law will come, and after some time, penalties also may be imposed. And suddenly everybody will start blaming that we were happy 2 years back when there was no law, and now suddenly there is a law. Management will be unhappy. So I think in terms of implementation, apart from the technology issues, apart from drafting policies, which we will perhaps do, templates should be available quickly and we can do it. But motivating our employees to actually implement privacy to be the biggest challenge. And probably people like Vasantika and Aparna, who have gone through that process in the last 4 years, will be well placed for taking it up in the current scenario in India, at least, when from zero privacy, we are having DPB on a particular day. So this is like your 25th May 2018. Even that had 2 years advance notice. And in the whole of Europe, of course, the OECD guidelines, other things earlier, these things were already there. It was not new for them. But for the Indian people, it is new. Okay. And the SMEs and others who are not so far exposed to GDPR, at least if companies are exposed to GDPR, they know something and they know only how to shift it to the Indian data. That is what they have to manage. But other companies, you are talking of Kirana shops or smaller these things, they virtually have no idea of what is privacy. And leave aside the small Kirana shops, let us say a mid-sized, say a kind of a pharmacy, a mall or something like that, where data is really critical, but they don't know. Okay. Now, how do we actually make them understand is a challenge. And I think, of course, people like FDPPA would like to help in those things, but what work has to be done by some professionals. Everything cannot be done by one person or something like that. But like we used to say that every person teach somebody else. So privacy also, every professional have to have a kind of a attitude to say that, okay, in this quarter, let me see how much of information we can disseminate. Okay. So for all the people who are in FDPPI, my specific request is please use our message groups to share your knowledge. Whether it is correct or not, many times we are afraid that, okay, I may say something wrong. Yes, it's possible that sometimes when we type on the things, things will happen. But sharing of knowledge is important. Now we are getting into the AI. Now Aparna was talking about her cyber security, this thing. Now, even today morning or something, I saw that AI-based voice changing software was used so that a person got a message from his grandson or somebody like that. And that was done for defrauding the person. So we are getting into a situation where technology at higher levels are being used to actually break the privacy and thereby lead to financial frauds. And I think we need to, it is also has to be seen within the companies. Now, within the company, there have been old instances where CEO's voice was used for, say, committing frauds. So now, with AI being easily available in terms of apps, we are having higher risks of privacy coming out of this new technology, and we need to actually see how we try to put in new controls to enable this. Any thoughts, Aparna and Vasantika? How do we handle ChatGPT kind of a thing? Yesterday, we were saying that some employees are posting all the corporate information into the ChatGPT and asking it to provide a presentation, PPT. Okay, so it's confidential information. Okay, now how do you handle that? Are you going to ban ChatGPT in your organization? Now, it's a direct question. Do you think we should do that?
It may not be on a whitelisted site, so people cannot copy paste corporate data into that website, because especially for those in the production side, we have a lot of restrictions. They cannot copy, they cannot paste. So they cannot possibly take that information and put it on ChatGPT. That will happen at a level where people don't have those restrictions. But we have a lot of those whitelisted sites. So for those who are working from site, will not be able to access those particular websites. But it is also at the same time, we have a lot of training and awareness. We keep reminding people that there are bad actors everywhere. You cannot use this data other than for what it is meant. You do not share it unless you know where you're putting it. So things like that, you keep reminding people all the time. It's our annual information security and privacy training is not a check in the box. It is a very serious thing, and every staff call, I myself, I have my staff call, I talk of it. My CEO has staff calls at every region. He's always talking of it. Everybody's all the time talking, and we keep reminding people that information security is not just, InfoSec is somebody else's business, and privacy, it's everybody's collective business. Compliance is everybody's joint effort. So please be very careful where we are using that data. So it's not that it'll be banned or something, but you keep reminding people that please use your discretion. Do not, go and post confidential information in some public website and things like that. So that is, I think, that awareness is what we keep bringing about.
And ChatGPT access, I think it will be need to know or required basis only. I think that security controls will have to be put in by organizations. Correct. But I'll take a different view for ChatGPT. It's like whatever you have posted on public sites so far, ChatGPT is using it. And if you keep on continuing posting your own personal information and everything again and again, it's going to use that information. So as an individual, I should be worried on what I'm posting and what ChatGPT can do. So there has to be some regulation to look at it, what kind of purposes it has, how it is going to be managed. But I saw somebody got their CV also written in ChatGPT. They got good poems also written on ChatGPT. So while there are a lot of good use cases that can be done, people should be aware of there are bad things that also can happen. So as an individual, I am little scared of ChatGPT.
Yeah, it's profiling all of us, right? So every question we ask it, it's profiling and creating. And it's also knows who, if I type in, it knows I'm Vasantika Srinath, and it knows it has my LinkedIn profile, it has my Facebook profile, it knows where all I clicked. And then if I ask it a question, it adds to my profile. It's building a more detailed profile of myself than I can also imagine, perhaps.
Yeah, but is it building further data based on current information, or has it is it tied up with the 2021 data only?
I think first version it was for the old data, but I think they are bringing. I think Bing is the current version. So Bing, what version is the latest information? So there will be a lot of versions coming up for the latest data also.
Okay, Ramesh has got something to say.
Nothing, sir. I think as said, as our Dr. Ghosh says, human firewall is the best solution. So how do you build that firewall into each other individual? And then they in turn use those awareness to control the urge to use things which are not proven. I think that would be helpful. But yeah, I mean, the technology cannot be stopped, but you need to be on the borderline.
That's why
And,
that's why in PDPSA we have included distributed responsibility as one of the important aspects. Okay, people have to realize why we have started talking about this distributed responsibility 2 years back when we first version of PDPSA came. Since then we are talking of this distributed responsibility. We want every employee to take responsibility for data within his control. See, if in my laptop I have got some data, I cannot expect Aparna to take control of that. Okay, she may be the DPO, but I am responsible for the data which is in my computer. So in the employment scenario also, every employee should be able to take responsibility for the data to which he has got access to. And that is why then only this will happen. Otherwise, you have one.
And so sometimes I think the leaders also need to resist the peer pressure, because someone has done it and I need to do it. Otherwise, my management or team does not look at me as a leader. I think that peer pressure is also causing this unnecessary catch up, where eventually they don't know how to return back from there.
Sir, I have to drop.
Yeah, Ramesh sir, please, if you can. Yeah, Vasantika, thank you for joining us today and sharing your experiences and insights on the privacy bill. It was glad to have you on the session. Ramesh has to give his vote of thanks to you. So to all of you all. Ramesh, please, over to you.
Yeah, thanks, Sangeeta.
Ramesh,
And again, wish you all a very happy Women's Day, first of all, and thanks for sharing your insights. I think all your insights are very useful, and I think your experience speaks a lot and volumes there. And as Navi sir said, maybe we all need to get into each one teach one. So maybe that's where you get more privacy professionals coming out, or maybe even diversity. Let's put it that way, and then get more people out of it. Thanks for sharing your inputs, Vasantika and Aparna and Sanjogita, for leading this discussion. And have a good day. It's a great value addition. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks for inviting me.
Thank you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you.